Hi, thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to be walking you through how to paint this stingray using watercolors. If you enjoy painting along with me, be sure to hit the like button below and hit subscribe if you want to watch more videos just like this one. Let's get started. So in order to get started, you're going to need a few different shades of blue paint. I have a Prussian blue, a cerulean blue, as well as a teal. And then I'm going to be using my angled brush. This is a Princeton brand brush. And I like that the angle allows me to have the detail of using the tip, but with more pressure, I can get a wider swath of color. I have a dual compartment water tray, just allows me to have dirty water and clean water on the go at all times. And then for the dots that we're gonna do on it after, we're gonna use this, this is called poster paint, but if you have just simple like children's acrylic paint, craft paint around, that'll work just fine for something like this. So first things first, we're gonna sketch out the stingray. So we'll start with just doing the basic wing shape. So spanning across, we're gonna go a line. It's like a very shallow hill, low hill, and then a small bump for the head, and then a same size small hill on the other side. And then we come back down, kind of like a wing shape, like a butterfly wing. And same thing on this side. I'm gonna come back down. And it's okay if you don't get it perfectly symmetrical the first time, you can erase. Just make sure you're drawing nice and light. So you can see I didn't come back quite as much as I would have liked. So even if you try again here, and I'll erase the lines I don't want after. And then we come back out in a fan shape for the tail. Then I'm going to make the tail come up to a point. And I can make it smoother when I actually add the paint. It doesn't need to be perfect for the sketch. All right, so I'm going to erase some of these lines that I don't want. And even when it's all dry, if any of these pencil lines are showing, we can always erase them after as well. All right, so for this painting, like so many of my other paintings, I'm going to lay down clear water first and then start laying down the color within it. So we're gonna have to build and build and build the color until we get the darkness we like. So getting quite a bit of water on your brush, you're gonna wanna start filling in the shape with just clear water. And you have to work relatively fast for this section. So add quite a bit of water to start, and you can always get rid of some if you find you have way too much. But the reason I say quite a bit of water is because it's gonna dry super fast on you as you're working your way around to fill the shape. So you can pull some water from that side, fill it in there, and then work on the bottom tail part. And we can fill this in, but chances are it's gonna dry faster than we can get to it later. So I'll fill it in for now, and if I have to re-wet it, I will. So once you get a nice clear coat on it, you can pause it if I'm working too fast. But once you get a nice clear coat, we can go ahead and start adding the color. So I'm gonna start with some teal right along the middle. So I have the teal right here, and we'll just drop that in. And it'll sort of bleed around and do its thing as it dries. Then I'm gonna take the blue and drop it in. And if you want it to move around more, you can add a bit of water and sort of tilt the page around and let that blue move around. I have quite a deep tooth on this paper, so the paint isn't gonna bleed as much as it would on a smoother paper. And that's okay. So we just keep working our way around the perimeter. And I'm wanting to go quite dark with this blue. So as it dries, I'm going to be continuously adding more. So we'll just do the tail shape. And I'm going to add a little of this cerulean blue right in the center. And I'm going to want to keep the center a bit lighter so I can continue to add it on the edges, but I'm going to keep the center free from putting the pigment straight on it. We're going to allow it to just bleed into that. Now, if you have it, you could even add some Paynes gray around the side. Paynes gray bleeds quite a bit, and I like that component of it. So if you take your Paynes gray, if you don't have it, just keep adding more blue from your palette. So whatever kind of dark shade you have around. I don't tend to use black a lot, but you could use a black as well. And this is just defining that edge. Continue to darken this part. And then I'm going to add a little more blue here because as it dries, it's going to lighten. And that's all you want to do. So just continuing to add color over and over again so that as it dries, it stays nice and dark. When you're first starting out with watercolors, sometimes you can go a little light on the color and it'll fade quite a bit. And you'll learn that in order to get a dark color right off the bat, you're just constantly adding and adding and adding. So I'm gonna add a little Paynes gray here. And we're gonna let this dry here. All right, so now that we have that layer dry, it looks quite dark. If you find that it's quite light after you finish drying it, just do another layer over top. You'd follow the same pattern as you would the first layer. So now I'm going to use a fairly fine round brush, like the one you see here. And we're gonna use this poster paint, and we're gonna do some little dots on the Stingray. So we're gonna start by making our way around the edge. You'll want to have something quite opaque like poster paint. If you only have watercolor in white, the watercolor will actually dry fairly translucent, so you don't want that. So I'm just following the line, and the dots don't have to be perfect. In fact, it's better if they're not. They're all different sizes, that's great. Going to continue to make our way around and adding more and more dots till the whole thing is filled in. It takes time, but it looks really nice having those bright white dots against the dark blue. I'll draw a couple of lines right here. And now it's ready to go in and add the background. So for the background, I'm going to do some teal. So this is just going to imply that there's water moving around the stingray. So we're gonna take some clear water and we're gonna go as close as you can to the stingray and just kind of follow it with your brush. Whatever size brush you have is fine, like a round brush, or if you do have one of these angled brushes, that's great. And we're gonna just add sort of a blob right here. You don't want the edges to be even at all. And then just starting right at the stingray, we're gonna come in with that teal color. Then we're gonna take a little extra water, add it on here, and we're gonna lift it up and let it bleed. So notice it bled down right there, so you can just add a bit more color so you can really see it. And the more water you have, the more it's gonna bleed down, so. I'm gonna add a little bit over here. And then I'm gonna do a little bit on top. And I'm very loose with the brush, so there's no symmetry to my pattern. I want it to have a very organic shape. Just implying that the stingray is swimming in the water. I'll add quite a bit of water here and we'll let that one drip down too. And then I'm going to take a large flat brush. I have one here. It's not large, I would say medium flat brush. And then I'm gonna take some of the teal and I'm gonna do some splatters where it's still wet. Some on the stingray, and then I'm gonna take a bit of that Prussian blue, add a few more. And because I never like to have anything too balanced, I don't like two drips, I'm gonna add one more right here. So I'm just gonna add a bit of water and then drip it off the page. All right, so this is all gonna kind of bleed as it dries. We'll let it do that, and I'll blow dry it on low just to speed it up a bit. All right, so now that it's done, we can go ahead and sign it. And it's all done. So if you enjoyed painting this with me, be sure to hit the like button below and also hit subscribe if you want to be notified as soon as I make other videos just like this one. Thanks for watching.